you've got pets. Your income is too low. Your income is too high. So how do you overcome that? Are you looking to rent an apartment in the Netherlands but keep getting rejected? If you keep getting rejected after submitting your documents following the viewing of the apartment, there might be a bigger problem behind it. In this video, I'm gonna list the most common reasons your potential landlord might not be choosing you at the moment, but will improve your application and increase your chances in renting an apartment of your dream. I'm Anna. I'm an expat entrepreneur living in the Netherlands for quite a while. In my previous video guide to renting an apartment in the Netherlands, I said that there might be some aggravating circumstances. And today we'll be looking at a lot of them. Without further ado, let's start. First, you've got pets. As always, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Finding an accommodation with pets is difficult, but it's possible. So how do you do it? First, if you can, get a recommendation letter from your previous landlord and ask them to specifically mention that there was absolutely no damage or smell or anything from your pet. Next, you can look for apartments that don't straightforwardly have the no pet lines in the description on Funda or Pararius. And once you are invited to the viewing, you might discover that the previous tenant has a dog or a cat. What does it mean? The landlord is pet friendly. That's an excellent opportunity. So make sure that once you have found such apartment, you create the nicest presentation about your family and your pets. You can honestly add that finding accommodation with pets is very difficult and you really love the apartment and it's perfect for you, and you're also gladly willing to offer an increased deposit to compensate the damage from your pet. Now here's another question. The landlord states that they don't accept tenants with pets. Is there any way to change their mind for real? If a landlord is asking for a 1-month deposit, something you could try is increasing this deposit. So when you're submitting the documents to the landlord, you might create a message that you understand them, you are aware that they are not looking for tenants with pets, but you really love the apartment, it's great, and you are willing to go the extra mile to be chosen. So you might want to compose a message like this. Hi, I've seen that no pets are allowed and I can see how important it is to you to keep the place in great condition. However, your apartment is so perfect for us, describe the place or its location, that we decided to give it a try. This is our photo description of your pet. We've had him for years and we never witnessed any damage. We are aware of your risks and we are ready to offer a triple deposit so that you also feel protected. Moving next, and another reason you might have problems with finding accommodation in the Netherlands is because your income is too low. It doesn't matter how expensive is the apartment that you're looking for, if your income is lower than 3 times the rent, and in some cases that can be up to 4 times the rent, a potential landlord might be unwilling to choose you. To make things clear, we're talking gross income, so don't freak out. I guess it used to be a nice to have, but then it migrated to rules, like to the golden standards, and now everyone's on the market is asking for it. So what do you do if your income is lower? That was actually something I faced on my second year here in the Netherlands, because when I was submitting my documents, my income was extremely low. At that time, I just incorporated a company and I was afraid of paying myself a big salary because I didn't know when was I paying taxes, when am I paying some kind of other payments, and I was really stressed out and afraid. So I just kept my salary at the minimum, which kind of led to the fact that I was looking for an apartment for 2.5 months. At some point, I was so desperate that I started to offer to pay a year or 6 months in advance. As I mentioned in the previous video, your one and only task is to convince your landlord that you can and will pay the rent until the end of the contract. So if you can strengthen your application with additional documents like savings, for instance, do it. Another tip would be, instead of offering to pay in advance, offer a bigger deposit. That's something that works better here in the Netherlands because if there is any problem with you as a tenant, the landlord just keeps the deposit to themselves. Why do Dutch people don't like these advance payments? You basically have no risk at all. I mean, you get a payment for the whole year in advance, Isn't that just perfect? Well, there are two issues with this approach. First of all, if there's a very significant problem in the middle of the contract, for instance, you break the contract terms, you do something that's clearly forbidden and your landlord learns about that and they want you out, they will have to return this advance payment. The second problem is a little bit deeper, however. When you're providing an advance payment for a year, that's a pretty considerable amount of money, right? So you transfer this amount to the landlord's account. And at some point, their bank might be interested, where does the money come from? The landlord would present a contract and it seems like that's it, right? Not exactly, because their next question would be for a tenant. Where is it from? And it's great if you have a specific contract, like you sold a car or sold your apartment, but in many cases, that's just savings. And that kind of explanation never ever works with Dutch banks. So to sum up, advance payments almost never work, but increasing the deposit is a great chance to get the apartment of your dream. And the next possible reason why you keep getting rejected might be that your income is too high. What? That's right! If you're trying to get an apartment in the Netherlands, you need to be aware that Dutch people might have an acute sense of fairness. The system offers a lot of benefits for people with lower income, like the tax brackets, which are favorable to those who earn less, or affordable housing permits that a lot of municipalities in the Netherlands have, which basically tell you that only a certain group of people that earn less than a specific amount can have a shot at renting affordable property. So if your gross salary is 5-6 times the rent, some landlords might reject you just because it's fair to people who need this affordable housing more than you do. And you'll be just fine. You'll just find another accommodation that is aligned with your income. And this approach was kind of refreshing because in the country where I used to live, it's the opposite. Like money solves everything. If you have it, you get the apartment. If you have more, then it's great. The landlord will feel safer. And I'm not saying everyone's like this in the Netherlands. It's just if you come across it, don't be surprised. And the last reason you might be constantly rejected for an apartment in the Netherlands is because you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur. Now, on this real estate market, you'll always have a deposit. And deposits can vary. It can be 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. Unless it's something really outstanding, 3 months is the highest deposit you might expect. And in general, a triple deposit is quite rare. However, if you belong to the categories of not so reliable tenants, which sadly entrepreneurs fall into, the deposit will almost always be 3 times the rent. Having said that, it doesn't mean that you are a favorable candidate. Even if your deposit is bigger than deposits from other candidates, your risk profile is also different and you're seen as a tenant with higher risks. That's why in many cases the landlord will not choose you. So how do you overcome that? Well, as always, you can offer a higher deposit, as always, starting with 4 months. I also believe in the power of openness and visibility. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're doing something great, you have some publications, you have your website, videos. So insert something into your presentation to let the landlord know what values you have. And who knows, your values might just click. And that was it. Now I would love to hear from you. If you have a question, a comment, or you would love to share your experience of renting an apartment here in the Netherlands, please leave a comment below. You might also want to check out this video because I share a lot of useful tips on how to respond on Funda and Pararius and how to get viewings and how to develop a presentation that highlights everything your landlord needs to know to choose you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you next week.